Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hi, Mira. Good
Hi.
to see you after a long time.
Yes.
Mhm. So let's start. Uh, so we have two prayers for today. We don't know whether two would be maybe too much. So we'll see how it goes. So May 13 and May 16 if we have time. So let's take this one up, May 13. And anyone who wants to read it out aloud for all of us, please do the honors.
Yeah, I'll go. So May 13th, 1914. This somnolence of my thought, O Lord, thou wilt shake off, so that I may have the knowledge and understand the experience thou hast given to my being. When something in me questions thee, always thou repliest, and when it is necessary for me to know something, thou teachest it to me, whether directly or indirectly. I see more and more that all impatient revolt, all haste would be useless. Everything is slowly organized so that I may serve thee as I should. What is my place in this service? For a long time, I have stopped asking myself this: what does it matter? Is it necessary to know whether one is at the center or on the circumference, provided that entirely consecrated to thee, living only for thee and by thee, I carry out better and better the task thou givest me? All the rest has no importance at all. I would say more, provided thy work is accomplished in the world as well and as completely as it can be, does it matter which individual or group realizes this work? O my sweet Master, in peace, serenity, equanimity, I give myself to thee and merge in thee, my thought calm and tranquil, my heart smiling. Thy work will be done, I know, and thy victory is certain. O my sweet Master, grant to all the sovereign boon of thy illumination. Hey, Mother.
Yeah, thank you. So, yes, thoughts, any reflections, any lines resonating more or less with us, you're welcome to share.
I can share. Uh, just going from the beginning. So this thing, how it's talking about the thoughts, that how when I'm involved in so much, when the thoughts are all around, feelings, thoughts rather, one is unable to see the things for what they are. Like even without them, I don't know if we can actually see, and yet it seems that the understanding of the actual things, like the things that are happening, like why is it happening to me, to how we say, what is it teaching me? So the teaching aspect, the growth aspect, the understanding of what is happening, it's very difficult when one is lost in the stories. So the first part just felt that I'm praying that the stories, the thoughts, I'm able to connect within to that stillness so that actually I can have the knowledge and understand what really is it, what is happening. So what has been given, like it says, to my being, like how Mother says. And the second, but this is the one I read, like I kind of related to the most, where it says that whatever is necessary for me to know, it teaches me, whether directly or indirectly, because a lot of times things happen and you don't know why they are happening. But if you're open, if you don't get into the victim mode, or if you get into the victim mode, if you come back by grace, you can see, okay, oh, this was where I was missing, or this was where I lagged, but this is where I opened to the forces, or to my weaknesses. So I am being taught, but I don't know, because we are not really good students most of the time, because we are so distracted that sometimes lot of times rather, we just miss what is being, why something is happening. So there's no learning, there's no growth. And that's why a lot of times we feel repetitions in our lives. Again, yeah, so again and again, the same circumstances or people in different, behind different faces, they meet us. So I see more and more that all impatient revolt. So I think Snehi had asked what impatient revolt is. So what I'll just share what comes to me. You know how sometimes we are like, I have done this so often, right? Like I've been trying for so long. Like it's been a year, say I'm working on, I don't know, my anger or my patience. Like when will this happen? Like when I see myself, say, not being where I think I should be, there's a revolt I feel in my being, that I don't want to do it. This doesn't make any sense. I am unworthy. So that further pulls me down. That's the truth. But at that time, it just overtakes. So, this impatience, and how, Mother so beautifully says that, even if you fall 100,000 times, I find that figure amazing, because that's a huge figure to give, given by the mother, that if you fall 100,000 times, get up, brush your brush off whatever, look up, smile, and take your next step. So that's the level of patience that is needed. Somewhere, somehow we feel that if somebody is a warrior, or if there is a growth happening, everything has to happen really fast, right? Okay, tuck, 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 zoom, all done. But the courage, the bravery, the strength and patience is really amazing. So just this, the revolt that my being does because it's impatient is what I would perceive as impatient revolt. Yeah, I think something happened. Yeah. All haste would be useless. Again, going to the same thing. Yeah. There's something that's coming, that my internet is unstable, so I don't know if it's getting disconnected at
So far,
your
good.
end. So I'll
So
probably
far, good.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So everything is slowly organized so that I may serve thee as I should. So, it's like again and again I have been told, it's as if I've been shown that, my timelines or my idea of what is the purpose or where does this need to go has zero bearing to what needs to happen or what will happen or what should happen. So everything is taking me where I need to be. So the certitude is needed. But when we are in this haste, this impatient revolt, if I can remember that things are taking me to where I need to be, then that helps me in staying centered. So, what is my place in this service? These questions come to me, come to us so often, right? That what is happening, that doubt, that am I doing enough? Where am I? Whether I should be here. But, I've seen that more often than not, when I'm stuck in these doubts, it's actually that I'm not progressing then, right? Like I'm just questioning and doubting, and I'm kind of either stagnant or rather going back. So it's very beautiful, and the point at which it comes again, the primings of the prayers are always amazing. That what is my place in this service and all. And so Mother says that for a long time, I've stopped asking myself this, what does it matter? And yeah, this was pretty amazing. That is it necessary to know whether one is at the center or on the circumference? So the ego wants the center, right? Circumference, it's as if it doesn't exist. So there's something in me that obviously wants me to feel really important, and the world should go around me. But she's asking us to also, I think, question that does it really matter? When you know that bigger things are at play, when you know that things are happening the way they should be, that certitude is there. How we say that uski marzi ke bina ek patta bhi nahi hilta. We say that, especially in India, we say this a lot, coming from the, I don't know, Vedantic background. So is it necessary to know whether one is at the center or on the circumference, provided that entirely consecrated to thee, living only for thee and by thee, I carry out better and better the task. And when, I'm questioning, when I'm doubting, the truth is I don't even do what I can do when I'm in that state. So, and that becomes very evident slowly. And it's also a trap, right? Like it's like a tag that every once in a while you again go there, and then you are pulled out of there by grace that, okay, okay, move on, it doesn't matter. And you again find yourself there. So I would say more, provided thy work is accomplished in the world as well and as completely as it can be, does it matter which individual or group realizes this work? See, this is so contrary to the way we live lives, right? The lives are all about I will do it, or I can't. And yet this reminds me of, the book Prison Life by Sri Aurobindo, in which Sri Aurobindo has given an account of his time in the jail. And there, there's this thing where he's being told that if you don't want to be this person who's supposed to, bring whatever, I mean, the details weren't there, but if you choose not to be, there's so many others ready who can do this. So don't think that you are any special if you are being chosen or if you decide to come on board. So that was Sri Aurobindo, that was kind of being said that, there's nothing special in you, because see, obviously it's like, the Basuri example that we, at times take about Krishna, right? It's the Krishna that's making that sound come out of that, those tunes, those rhythms, that thing coming out of the Basuri. The Basuri just is. But our problem is that the I-ness, right? That the doership, we keep picking things on. So it does not matter who or, the group or which individual does the work, as long as the work is being done. So keeping myself in the background always, always checking why I'm doing something, or what is the, or auchitte we say, the reason, the point, why I'm doing this. If that I can remind myself that it's bigger than me and it's not about me, that is also needed very, on a very regular basis, just talking about myself at least, that otherwise the way things are, you don't even realize how you stick to things, how the goals become important than why something is being done. And I especially see this here, in like say the NGOs, or where the government work is involved, the grants and all. So a particular grant has been given for this purpose. But I see that rather than focusing on the purpose solely, so much paperwork needs to be done, so much pictures, so many feedback forms, so many, like three, four feedback forms at times they ask us to fill, because it has to be reported back. So the essence of the thing kind of gets lost. That why am I doing it? I don't know, because then it all becomes a bit superficial, right? Okay, pictures, check, feedback form, checks, food, check, like, and why are we here? Okay, yeah, this is why we were doing this. So when one sees that, it's like a wake up call, right? That am I doing this? So yeah, that's yeah, and so going further, so my sweet master, in peace, serenity, equanimity. I think all this is kind of the opposite of that impatient revolt, right? These words. So that's why it's kind of very beautiful again. So in peace, serenity, and equanimity, I give myself to thee and merge in thee, my thoughts calm and tranquil, my heart smiling. Thy work will be done, I know, and thy victory is certain. So I think this common theme in mother's prayers, thy victory is certain, thy victory is certain. So if that's always there, only we can remember it more often. So, O my sweet master, grant to all the sovereign boon of thy illumination. So that's what I'm praying, that the ultimate prayer. We always keep asking for smaller things. We sell ourselves, our lives, and others too short. But if I have to ask, may I ask, this? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone wants to share anything more? Wants to add anything?
For me, what really resonated was this line where Mother says that when it is necessary for me to know something, it will be. Thou teachest it to me, that He'll tell it to me directly or indirectly. And yesterday, this was something I was really, a friend of mine, because of the very severe earthquake in Turkey, a very close friend of mine from Turkey. We were talking, and she lost her uncle, father's brother. She was very close to them and lost both of them in the earthquake. And she was really, really down. And he said even the daughter is here, in the West, but in here in the UK, and I don't know. I don't have anything to console her. And she's also spiritual on this path, and she says that, he was asking about this impatient revolt. And I could, in me as well, when the suffering is so significant, there's this impatient revolt from the vital, from the mental, even the body, from the body as well, because the nervous system is completely shut down. And she was asking me, what's the reason? Why did it happen? Like in a jiffy, so many people died. Like, what is the answer? And she was, of course, we were having a discussion, and saying, I don't know what to tell to my cousin who has lost both the house and everything. She has lost in a second. And I was just really, that really disturbed me even before sleeping. I was contemplating that. I told, of course, I don't have any answer. I really do not have an answer to really understand this depth of suffering that you are in it. And it was just sleeping. It just reminded me of a novel I'm reading, The Choice. It's a novel by Edith Eva Eger. It's a beautiful novel by a Holocaust survivor. And she was saying that she was a ballet dancer, and she was a ballet dancer, and the Nazi jailer used to ask her to dance for him, and there was a lot of abuse and torture, significant of suffering. And at the end of it, the only thing that she used to do it because he used to give her a piece of bread. And to other prisoners, they used to be starved for days on end. For that piece of bread, she used to dance. And she said, just for the piece of bread, and I used to take it and I divided it amongst the people who lived, and the small, small pieces we all ate together. So the strength that I really got was not only for me, but because I was doing it for my other prisoners, it kind of really gave me friend. And just imagine a piece, not even one piece, but a small piece of that bread. And she used to say, and imagine dancing without getting any food, any water, being tortured, being raped. And she said that that act of generosity really pulled me through and gave me a mission. That now she, like, what mother says, that the work that she's doing is so important, is, she's becoming a torch of light, that suffering has prepared her to become a torch of light for so many other people. And that's something that really came to me. I thought that I was not able to tell Chemri or her cousin, but it will come to them why it came, not now, but that what mother says, that when it is necessary for me to know something, it will be taught. And that thing really, really, like, now it's like, like, I got that understanding that I was trying to understand yesterday, that sometimes we really want to know the answers now, because suffering is sometimes really tormenting. It is something that really shakes on this amount of suffering. But that's so beautiful, even if we just know that the answer will come. We will understand it. It is a journey. And then towards the end, that, she says about, if you can put it a little bit down, Monica. Yeah, towards this, that, thy victory is certain. And that thing was really as well, that the victory is certain, no matter what we're undergoing, how the world is, what is happening, the victory is certain. So yeah, that's thing that really came home to me. And even I got few answers that I was looking yesterday. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, anyone else?
So what is really resonating to me today is that line that impatient revolt and all haste would be useless, and everything is slowly organized so that I may serve thee as I should. So here, I think, as Taro was sharing earlier, we are so programmed to thinking that everything should happen fast. I should see the result within a couple of days, or when I put the effort, then I need to see the result. Otherwise, it means I'm doing something wrong. And then, like, we sort of have, like, over torment ourselves thinking that I've done something wrong. Oh my God, what is going to happen? I'm not seeing the result. And also because, like, living in the society that we are in right now, like, we see everyone running around us, and we sort of feel like mother says it's okay to fail 100 times. But that is so important. I guess it's very important to have that center, because while the others may not seem like they're failing, but I am failing, and that is okay. I can take my time to do whatever, and I don't have to go to the same destination that others are running in. So only that confidence that everything is slowly getting arranged, and it's not necessary that it should get arranged in the same time frame that we wanted to. So yeah.
Puts our restlessness at rest. Yeah, yeah. Anyone else wants to share or add on? I think I'm reminded of, again, in Mother's prayers and meditations, we always get to know of what is the best possible way uh, for us to go through anything that we may be going through. And here, this one, there is also another passage by the mother. We have taken it up a couple of times where she shares that when everyone is having a true connection with oneself, one then automatically gets to know one's true vocation. What should I be doing in this life? This
Sorry,
individual
can
that
you
is
repeat
suffering.
that? Your voice was.
Yeah, so I was sharing that mother says at another place that somebody asked that what should be the true vocation? What is everyone's purpose in life? And then she shares that yes, everyone has a very unique place in life, unique purpose in life, but it's not very easy to get in touch with that inner call, that what am I supposed to do in this life? A very few of us would really bother actually to know that what am I really born for? Is this the common mundane thing? Am I born for just following what the society says, or maybe something else? I don't know. So mother says that in the meantime that we get to know what we are truly born for, and each one of us is born for something little which is special. Whatever comes on our way, that we should do with this act of servitude. So this was coming very beautifully when Taru was sharing the second passage in this prayer, that it doesn't matter whether you are center of attraction, whether you are not center of attraction, because we all work from a sense of ego, which is full of a lack. So always wanting approval, validation, praise, wanting to be famous, respected. We don't even admit, but we have these things in us. So mother says that how does it matter whether, and now we have to see mother is in Pondicherry right now, 1914 May, and she's like looking at the things happening around her, other devotees, disciples with Sri Aurobindo who are connected with him, and each one is performing a certain task. Now, we also can, learn a lot from there. That now she's wondering that one is wondering that what is my place here? What am I supposed to do here? And that actually one can get into what you were sharing, a restless energy, like what do I do? But then she shares again the highest possible attitude all the time. I see more and more that all impatient revolt, all haste would be useless. Why? Everything is slowly organized so that I may serve thee as I should. We know that for when Mother came finally to ashram in 1920, when she finally came to Pondicherry, for good, we know that she was not out in public for many years. I think 5, 6 years she was not. She was just to herself, and that was her way of serving the divine, because that was, required for that time. And even when she's here in 1914, she says that I would stay if Sri Aurobindo asks me to stay, and I would leave if he doesn't ask me to stay. How beautiful a surrender. Like there is no personal will, personal desire, true surrender in front of her Lord. And after her birthday, 21st February, she leaves only to come back later. And Sri Aurobindo, there was a something bigger going on in Sri Aurobindo said later that it was not required for her to stay that time because it would have led to further complications. The place was not ready for that much of force in 1914. And later on, when the place was ready, when things were ready, then she came for good. So we don't know, as we were sharing, that there are larger forces at play. We have no clue how they are working, and we somehow are put to a place. All of us are, and then we wonder from time to time: should I be here? Should I be there? What is the best I can do? Maybe I made a wrong decision. Now let me make a right decision. And even if we make a right decision, even that is always mostly coming from our limited little window of understanding. You know, we are rarely connected with intuition. Rarely. So what is the best then in that case that we can do that, knowing that our distortion, there is a distortion in our vision. We all know that. We all only see a little bit, and even that little bit is distorted. So what is the best way? That's what Mother is sharing in this prayer. You know that it doesn't matter what is my place in this service. How does it matter? I have stopped asking myself this. Is it necessary to know whether one is at the center or on the circumference? Nobody knows you, but you are doing your work silently. Whatever comes to you, you do it with Shraddha, you do it with devotion. That's what matters. And even when people know someone very special, CEOs and even very respected people, how do we know that they have the content and joy in their heart that everyone seeks? So, provided, now I think it's very important to mark this word provided. We can't take it half, we have to take it full. It is not necessary to know our place. It is not necessary to have impatient revolt. And it is not necessary to know whether I am on the circumference or the center, provided that entirely consecrated to thee, living only for thee and by thee, I carry out better and better the task thou givest me. All the rest has no importance at all. So if this is my inner attitude that wherever I am, I'm just doing it up to the best of my aptitude and the inner heart I'm putting. Mother says that put one drop of love in anything that you do. That should be enough. Just a drop of love. So right now, if we are taking care of someone like Nandini was sharing, someone who is going through some turmoil, listening to them, just listening with love, holding somebody's hand who is not well in love, with love, just being fully there, offering our presence. If there is a little task that is given to us in day-to-day routines, some cooking, some cleaning, whatever I'm doing, I'm just putting that one drop like itr. We have that perfume, like one drop of perfume, and that's enough. It has done its job. So love, true love is like that. Love, pure love is like that. So one drop of love from our heart we put, enough. We have done our job. So Mother says that this is what matters. The inner attitude is what matters. And then again, so beautiful what Taru was pointing at. We are mostly stuck in our egos, and we will be stuck in our egos if we are not vigilant. So it's very good to see how some part of us always wants to be the one. I am the one winning, the one responsible for making the team win. I am the one. If I am not there, what would happen of the team? So I feel, again, just a personal reflection, I feel that it's very good from time to time to share tasks, like whatever your team is doing, like in office or workplace, to share it with people. Like, okay, today you do this, or just make the other person shine, because that puts our ego in the background, and that is a very good test for our ego, and it's a good practice, I feel. So it's very good to, from time to time, leave all the roles and obligations and labels usually that we are living with, and to be just without any label. I think it's a very good practice. So for those people who are speaking too much, maybe to shut their mouth up, like me. Those people who are shutting their mouth more often, maybe to speak. So just getting out of our usual comfort zones and changing the rules, reversing the rules. I think it's really good. So Mother says it doesn't matter who finishes first. It doesn't matter through whom the divine manifestation takes place. What matters is it should take place, and we know that it will take place. That's the beauty. True surrender, true service. So she adds He says, provided thy work is accomplished in the world as well as completely as it can be, does it matter which individual or group realizes the work? It doesn't matter. But what we do is once we have formed a party which is doing some good work, then all the other parties who are doing that kind of a work, we go anti again. We go that no, that group, no, that group is not doing good enough work. See, our work, like we are so surrendered and sincere. So this is what happens. We can't really appreciate. Yes, we can't really appreciate uh, what others are also doing. So it's very good. Jetsunma often shares that it's very good to rejoice in others' good work. Like if we see somebody doing good job, good work, good service, then we can be happy that how good that world has so many people who are doing good work. So Nandini has shared here something by Mother Teresa. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah. So I just like, I think the prayer has been already enough contemplated upon. So just this was coming to me, the true attitude of service, the true attitude of doing anything that comes on the way to me before I stumble upon what am I truly meant to do. In between, whatever comes to me, I do it with love, with devotion. That is enough. And that really, as all of you were sharing, that settles us down. That really calms that revolt which oftentimes brims in up that what am I doing? Am I at the right place, right position, wrong position, good job, bad job? We often are full of these doubts. Yeah. So there was something which I came across. It was by Sri Aurobindo. It's called The Delight of Work, and it's an essay. And I thought maybe it would nice to go through. I don't know how much we can go through. So I just stumbled upon Tara Didi here from Delhi Ashram. She's reading it, and I thought it would be just nice to listen, if not full, just to be to a bit of it. So I'll just maybe we can listen to that. In the meantime, if there is anything anyone wants to add, please do.
While you were speaking, I just resonated. There's a beautiful concept called Ubuntu. In it's now it's being used as a peace model, peace building model, and it's really beautiful. And so there was how it came about was when there was an American photographer who went to Africa. I think I'm not sure where exactly, Nigeria or in Congo, and he was doing some ethnographical project and he was filming it, and they were looking at African idea of victory and community, and there was some few children, and they asked them that whosoever comes first to that race, like how we do the race, will get that prize or get this chocolate, part of chocolate. And he said, I'll say 1, 2, 3, ready, steady, go, and go. And when he said ready, steady, go, he was shocked because all of the children held hands and ran together and then raised their hands and said, we won. And he was shocked, and they said Ubuntu, actually Ubuntu. So he really was fascinated by that, what is this thing that says Ubuntu? And he actually realized that this is a community value there in Congo or Nigeria, I'm not sure. And they believe that I cannot win if it's me who is winning. So my winning is embodied with the fact that all of us win together. And it was so beautiful. And I think that's something that is so much in mother in integral yoga, that even if I reach there, it's still not victory. True victory will only happen if we all hold hand and bring that kind of consciousness down where it reaches everybody. I think that really resonated, and I always think, wow, imagine children where we're not teaching them competition but comradeship of holding hands and winning together. So beautiful. So something that you were saying was, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, beautiful. Mm. it's a beautiful way, I think, of keeping the ego consciousness aside, just because the ego only wants uh, its own aggrandization. So when we are leaving that aside and when we are just being together and empowering each other, as you were sharing, that really takes care of that aspect so that we can, the psychic, the more love aspect can come forward. So, yes. Okay, so let's go through this. She has a very delightful voice, very like solid. I'm sure all of us have heard her voice earlier. So this is Delight of Works by Sri Aurobindo, and it's a reading by Tara Vidhi here. The thing is also here as a passage, but I thought just for a change it would be nice to hear. Yes, thank you, Nandini, for sharing. Nandini has shared the Ubuntu link here. Yeah. Okay, so let's listen to this a little.
It is titled The Delight of Works.
Maybe all of you can increase the volume from your end. This is the maximum it can go from my end.
In thy works, there are always these three: the master, the worker, and the instrument. To define them in oneself rightly and rightly to possess them is the secret of works and the delight of works. Learn thou first to be the instrument of God and to accept thy master. The instrument is this outward thing thou callest thyself. It is a mold of mind, a driving force of power, a machinery of form, a thing full of springs and cogs and clamps and devices. Call not this the worker or the master. It can never be the worker or the master. Accept thyself humbly, yet proudly, devotedly, submissively, and joyfully as a divine instrument. There is no greater pride and glory than to be a perfect instrument of the Master. Learn thou first absolutely to obey. The sword does not choose where it shall strike. The arrow does not ask whither it shall be driven. The springs of the machine do not insist on the product that shall be turned out from its labor. These things are settled by the intention and working of nature, and the more the conscious instrument learns to feel and obey the pure and essential law of its nature, the sooner shall the work turned out become perfect and flawless. Self-choice by the nervous motive power, revolt of the physical and mental tool can only mar the working. Let thyself drive in the breath of God and be as a leaf in the tempest. Put thyself in his hand and be as the sword that strikes and the arrow that leaps to its target. Let thy mind be as the spring of the machine. Let thy force be as the shooting of a piston. Let thy work be as the grinding and shaping descent of the steel on its object. Let thy speech be the clang of the hammer on the anvil and the moan of the engine in its labor and the cry of the trumpet that proclaims the force of God to the regions. In whatever way, do as an instrument the work that is natural to thee and appointed. The sword has the joy in the battle play. The arrow has a mirth in its hiss and its leaping. The earth has a rapture in its dizzy whirl through space. The sun has the royal ecstasy of its blazing splendors and its eternal motion. O thou self-conscious instrument, take thou too the delight of thy own appointed workings. The sword did not ask to be made, nor does it resist its user, nor lament when it is broken. There is a joy of being made, and a joy of being used, and a joy of being put aside, and a joy too of being broken. That equal joy discover. Because thou hast mistaken the instrument for the worker and the master, and because thou seekest to choose by the ignorance of thy desire thy own state and thy own profit and thy own utility, therefore thou hast suffering and anguish, and hast many times to be thrust into the red hell of the furnace, and has many times to be reborn and reshaped and retempered until thou shalt have learned thy human lesson. And all these things are because they are in thy unfinished nature. For nature is the worker, and what is it that she works at? She shapes out her crude mind and life and matter, a fully conscious being. Know thyself next as the worker. Understand thy nature to be the worker, and thy own nature and all nature to be thyself. This nature self is not proper to thee nor limited. Thy nature has made the sun and the systems, the earth and her creatures, thyself and thine, and all thou art and perceivest. It is thy friend and thine enemy, thy mother and thy devourer, thy lover and thy torturer, the sister of thy soul, and an alien and a stranger, thy joy and thy sorrow, thy sin and thy virtue. thy strength and thy weakness, thy knowledge and thy ignorance. And yet it is none of these things, but something of which they are attempts and imperfect images. For beyond all these, it is an original self-knowledge and an infinite force and innumerable quality. But in thee, there is a special movement, a proper nature, and an individual energy. Follow that like a widening river till it leads thee to its infinite source and origin. Know therefore thy body to be a knot in matter, and thy mind to be a whirl in universal mind, and thy life to be an eddy of life that is forever. Know thy force to be every other being's force, and thy knowledge to be a glimmer from the light that belongs to no man, and thy works to be made for thee and be delivered from the error of thy personality. When that is done, thou shalt take thy free delight in the truth of thy individual being, and in thy strength, and in thy glory, and in thy beauty, and in thy knowledge. And in the denial of these things, thou shalt take delight also. For all this is the dramatic mask of the person and the self-image of the self-sculptor. Why shouldst thou limit thyself? Feel thyself also in the sword that strikes thee and the arms that embrace, in the blazing of the sun and the dance of the earth, in the flight of the eagle and the song of the nightingale, in all that is past and all that is now and all that is pressing forward to become. For thou art infinite, and all this joy is possible to thee. The worker has the joy of her works and the joy of her lover for whom she works. She knows herself to be his consciousness and his force, his knowledge and his reserving of knowledge, his unity and his self-division, his infinity and the finite of his being. Know thyself also to be these things. Take thou also the delight of thy lover. There are those who know themselves as a workshop or an instrument or the thing worked, but they mistake the worker for the master. This too is an error. Those who fall into it can hardly arrive at her high, pure, and perfect workings. The instrument is finite in a personal image. The worker is universal with a personal trend, but neither of these is the master, for neither are the true person. Know last the master to be thyself, but to this self put no form and seek for it no definition of quality. Be one with that in thy being. Commune with that in thy consciousness. Obey that in thy force. Be subject to that and clasped by it in thy delight. Fulfill that in thy life and body and mentality. Then, before an opening eye within thee, there shall emerge that true and only person, thyself and not thyself. All others and more than all others. The director and enjoyer of thy works. The master of the worker and the instrument. The reveller and trampler in the dance of the universe, and yet hushed and alone with thee in thy soul's silent and inner chamber. The joy of the master possessed. There is nothing else for thee to conquer, for he shall give thee himself, and all things and all creatures, gettings and havings and doings and enjoyings for thy own proper portion. And he shall give thee that also which cannot be portioned. Thou shalt contain in thy being thyself and all others, and be that which is neither thyself nor all others. Of works, this is the consummation and the summit.
I think whatever we all got, whatever lines we could have gotten, I think those were meant for us. The ones which we did not get were not maybe meant for us right now. So, yeah. Any last comments before we end? Okay. So, before we leave, just taking a last moment in silence to share the merit, dedicate the merit with all sentient beings. May our hearts be content and may we find joy and progress in our life. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for sharing, listening, and joining into this.